The Despicable Me movies are loved all over the world, so no wonder there are at least 5 films that feature the main characters from the franchise: Gru, the Minions, and other heroes. The very first film was released in 2010, and since then, people are going crazy about every news story that the franchise comes up with. But there's one mystery in the entire franchise. How old are all the Despicable Me characters in each movie? In this video, we're gonna give you the answer, so make sure you stay till the end.
Absolutely, will do.
Of course, we'll start with the protagonist of the franchise, the felonious Gru. He is a former supervillain who has always wanted to be a force to be reckoned with. However, things have changed and he became the husband of AVL agent Lucy Wilde and adopted 3 daughters, Margot, Edith, and Agnes. Gru is also the leader of the Minions, and he has a bunch of good friends who go through all difficulties and interesting adventures with him. Speaking of age, you have definitely noticed that we saw him in different age categories. In The Minions, The Rise of Gru, he is 11 years old and he dreams of going to the moon.
Look, Mom, I drew a picture of me landing on the moon.
He even once made a prototype rocket out of macaroni, and surprisingly, it worked. No wonder Gru wanted to become a villain since his childhood, because he was neglected by his mom. For his father, Robert Gru, who never contacted his son prior to the former's death, was quite proud of his son's achievements.
That's him? Our dad?
He was so proud of you, and what a great villain you were.
Another reason why he became evil was the fact that he was constantly bullied by other students. And when one of them made him afraid of ever asking a girl on a date, this trauma traumatized Gru. However, when he met Dr. Joseph Albert Nefario, he got attached to the scientist's contraptions, and he later even employed Nefario and the Minions to help his vicious plans come true.
You want to come work for me?
No. All right, fine.
In the end, Nefario and Minion became his only friends because he had never treated them like slaves, which is very different from what the usual villain would do. In the Despicable Me trilogy, we already see the grown-up Gru, who is around his late 40s, early 50s. We see how Gru changes as he transforms from a villain to a loving father of 3, adopting kids, and later gets married to Lucy Wilde, who is actually an agent of the Anti-Villain League. Also, in the 3rd movie, Gru meets his twin brother, Drew Gru, who was separated from him since birth. It was such a cute and unusual family reunion. Dr. Nefario is a good friend of Gru, as you already know, and his character appears in every Despicable Me movie. Many fans hoped to see him in Despicable Me 4, because can you imagine this film without Dr. Nefario? He's the one who creates most of Gru's machines, and he works in the underground lair and laboratories. Dr. Nefario has always had a lot of respect for Gru, but he started doubting his plans when Gru adopted the girls, and then it turned out that Gru didn't have enough money to fund the project.
They need to go. If you don't do something about it, then I will.
However, even despite these issues, Nefario still considers him to be one of the greats in the supervillain world. We can't question Nefario's talent for creating machines, but he has terrible hearing, mistaking Gru's orders for dart gun and cookie robots as fart gun and boogie robots, respectively. In Minions, The Rise of Gru, he's 45 years old and is portrayed as the owner of a record store that Gru goes to called Criminal Records, where he crafts gadgets as a side gig. In the Despicable Me franchise, he is much older, 79 years old. Mr. Perkins is one of the overarching antagonists of the Despicable Me franchise. We can definitely admit that he was the main bad guy in the first feature film Despicable Me, and we are more than sure that most of the kids who watched the movie didn't really like him. In the Despicable Me trilogy, he's 69 years old, and in Minions Rise of Gru, he's only 35.
Kids, I actually have a son of my own.
And he is a minor yet influential antagonist of its 2nd prequel. Now it's time to talk about Gru's love interest, Lucy Wilde. She becomes a major character in the franchise as she is a goofy agent of the Anti-Villain League.
You're gonna have to come with me.
Oh, sorry,
At first, Lucy was assigned to find Gru and bring him to the AVL's headquarters, but instead, she becomes his partner in hunting down the thief of the PX-41 serum, and eventually, these two realize that they're in love, so she becomes Gru's wife. If you're wondering how old is Lucy, in Despicable Me 2, she's 35, in Despicable Me 3, she's 36, and in the next movie, she'll probably turn 37 or 38. The age of the Minions is one of the biggest mysteries of the entire Despicable Me franchise. Not many people know how old exactly they are, but after watching this video, you'll be able to show off your knowledge to all your friends.
Papoy. No. Papoy. Ah, Papoy.
If you already have any ideas about their age, you can share them with us in the comment section down below. So, when you look at the Minions and their childlike behavior, you may assume that they are nothing but kids. However, this isn't the case. If you watched all the Despicable Me and the Minions movies carefully, you may have noticed that the films showed us that the Minions existed in the Cretaceous period since they interacted with the T-Rex. Considering this information, we may assume that the Minions have been around for at least 60 million years. They are too old, aren't they? In fact, the Minions came into existence 3.8 billion years ago. They have been alive for approximately as long as life on planet Earth has been around. Did you know that? Kids are something that not many people expect to appear in Gru's life because he is a villain. But then he changes a lot and Margot is the eldest adopted daughter. Before Gru adopts her, Margot, much like her younger sisters Edith and Agnes, was an orphan horribly treated by Miss Hattie. These little girls wanted to be adopted by someone who will love them and take care of them, and luckily, Gru was the one who had a big heart. In the original Despicable Me movie, she's 11, and in Despicable Me 2 and 3, she's 12.
We're not going to deliver cookies until we do dance class.
Margot doesn't really like when Edith misbehaves, and she gets really angry with her sometimes, especially when she jumps in puddles and makes her and Agnes all wet. However, she is more than ready to join Edith's antics if it's against someone she doesn't like, and she finds it cute when Agnes says innocent childlike things. This little girl is cute, but she definitely has a really strong character. As you may have guessed, Edith is the middle child who was adopted by Gru and Lucy Wilde. She appears in all three of the Despicable Me films, the attraction of Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem, and several of the mini movies.
What's better than being super cool secret agents?
In Despicable Me, she is 8, and in Despicable Me 2 and 3, she is 9. Agnes is the youngest daughter of Gru and Lucy's 3 adopted daughters. She is cute and she adores unicorns, as shown on previous occasions. She appears in all 4 of the Despicable Me films and several of the mini movies.
You promise?
Oh, yes.
As for the age, in the original movie, she's only 5 years old, and in Despicable Me 2 and 3, she's 6. Drew Gru is Gru's twin brother who appears in the 3rd Despicable Me movie. It's really fun to watch the way the two brothers interacted together. Also, the most hilarious thing is about their appearances. Even though they look familiar, Drew has blonde hair while his brother is bald. Also, the color of his clothes is opposite, which definitely shows that they have different personalities despite being twins. As you may have guessed, Drew and Gru are the same age, around their late 40s and early 50s.
Oh, yeah? Well, at least I didn't get fired from my job like a total loser.
Marlena Gru is Gru's mom, and she is not such a big character in all Despicable Me movies. However, her role gives us a better understanding of why Gru became a villain. She has been neglecting Gru his entire childhood, so no wonder he wanted other people's attention even in such an abnormal way. In the film Minions: The Rise of Gru, she's 46, and in this trilogy, she is 81 and 83. Did you know the age of all of these characters we're just talking about?
Vincenzo and Paolo.
We really want to know your opinion, so share your thoughts with us in the comment section down below. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Excuse me, girls.
Oh, come on.
Don't worry, I'll be back.